Hey, welcome to another podcast. I am sitting down with Phil Gatensby today for the second time, and we are going to speak mainly about spirituality.
Stealing money from the poor, a bit rash. Line your pockets, fill your tanks with your rockets. Look at it, we just can't stop it. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Just don't become late. That's the only rule. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. Loving your neighbour with bombs is wrong. All been going on way too long.
The college is indigenizing, right? They say we're indigenizing the college. However, not indigenous people are doing it, right? Like non-indigenous people are indigenizing the college.
Indigenizing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I've heard. I don't know. I mean, I don't know much about the college and stuff. What I mean, the last
But
one
the
thing I
government
heard,
saying the same thing. Right?
they're like that. One thing I heard that sounded pretty cool was the college was going to hire elders to just like hang out at the college, like walk around and then answer questions or provide maybe some teachings about things they know. Or
I think they did. I think they did.
sounded like a cool idea.
A good idea, but they hire old people, not necessarily elders. Elders is an interesting thing, right? Yeah. Because now we equate elders with age. Like when you get your old age pension, you're elder now.
Right.
But in reality, elder, indigenous, what do you call it? Like traditionally, elder it could have been a child, right? It could have been a young person, but elder really meant somebody who carried the teachings, right?
Okay.
So they were considered elders, right?
Someone to learn from.
Yeah, someone who carried the teachings of their people.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and so somehow we've now equated it with age, right?
Right.
You're an
now
elder,
everyone's an
aren't you?
elder.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's a line between old people and elder, right? You could say elderly.
Yeah.
Right.
That's an interesting.
They're elderly.
I really like breaking things down like that because language is often, it can carry so many different meanings. All these words,
Totally.
you know, and whether if we're going to be talking about this word spirituality, you could translate that in lots of different. Everyone has their own way of looking at that word.
Spirituality. What does that duality mean? Spirit.
Right. The root is spirit. Yeah.
Punctuality.
It's
what else? What's another word?
It's like a way of being, right?
It has to mean a way of being.
Yeah.
It's like respect. The word respect, right? Respect means to look twice. We know it means to to repeat or to do it again.
Yeah.
And spect is a word that comes from a Latin term, but that's they like call glasses
inspection.
spectacles, right? Or inspection, right?
Yeah.
So the word spect means to look, right? Or to see.
So to respect someone.
So if you respect someone, you look twice, right? Because when we first look, we see this. Right. But if we look again, we'll see something else.
That's interesting. Well, I've never heard that broken down like that.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. That's what if you look at what it means to respect someone.
To respect. And you say it different after that.
Yeah, it's interesting how to break down words like that and what words mean. And these days, there's a lot of like political correctness going on, right? It's been happening for a while, right? There's words that become bad to say or things or the meaning changes.
And sort of like political correctness has almost become like a fascist statement, right? It's like it's then it was socially sensitive, right? To be socially sensitive with your words, right? But one of the things, and I don't know if we talked about this last time, was about that we speak a separation language.
Yeah.
Our language is one that keeps us apart from everything else.
Right. And part of that has to be just by nature of language being there it is there to differentiate things on a level, right? Like you're saying, I'm in the dark chair, you're in the light chair. So we know which chair is which. And you have to separate them to differentiate. So part of it is like utility or necessity in a way, right? But you can also have language to unite people too, or to talk about bigger ideas that come through in the words we use or something.
Right. I think, in cultures use different languages, right? In my language in Tlingit, there's no word for forgiveness. There's no such thing.
Really?
Nothing like that. But there is a term called making it right.
Hmm.
So if I did something to offend you or hurt you, it was my responsibility or my whole family's to make it right. You know?
Okay.
Now we look at this word forgiveness. I forgive you, right?
Yeah.
Which means, you could have shot me last week, but I'm going to let you go now, right? You're good, right? But forgiveness means, which is interesting because the word forgiveness means ahead, right? It's otherwise, if it was like that, if it was like, okay, after you shot me, I would call it forgiveness. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
So forgiveness is like a certain approach, I guess, in life or something, right? Forgive, right? And then what I realized in my own life is that forgiveness means I'm not gonna carry it, right? So if you offended me somehow or hurt me, when I say I forgive you, it means I'm not carrying that shit no more. That's yours. You could do what you want with it, right?
Yeah, and I hear a lot of people when we're talking about healing and people going through these processes, a lot of people, it comes down to this self-forgiveness too. People often talk about forgiving ourselves. That's funny if you could put it in maybe that context, like you're trying to make things right with yourself, maybe before you're trying to forgive yourself.
It's an interesting thing because making it right is an understanding.
Yeah.
It's just a simple understanding, right? The difference between shame and guilt and not is just an understanding, right?
Yeah. That's right. An understanding you come to, yeah.
And we can say, I find that, guilt or shame is, a lot of religions use shame as a tool, right? Catholic is famous for it, right? Being, guilt and shame, man.
Yeah, until you repent and confess, and
that's right.
You feel that shame unless you.
Geez, I ran into. I was in East Lake and I was doing supporting those people that lost their houses, right? The Taltan people and just the trauma stuff. And anyway, I went to do a circle and these people came in, these religious people, and they just tied into me, right? And they were just like, hey, we don't do that. We don't worship rocks and sticks and stuff like that. And I'm like,
okay.
There are two elders there, so I didn't say anything. I just kind of bit my tongue, But this guy stuck around, a young guy, right? And I thought he might have been the preacher or something, right? But he said to me, the first thing he said is, you need to repent your sins and ask for forgiveness from God.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, I don't understand what you mean. And he said, God is a jealous God, right? And I said, I think you're making some assumptions here. I said, because you don't even know me.
Right.
And you're saying these things. I need to repent. I said, you're off on the wrong track. My name is Phil, right? I said, I've been doing ceremony for 35 years approximately. I said, I've never met anyone yet that worshiped rocks and sticks and birds and things, right? Never yet.
Right.
So I don't know what you're talking about. I said, have you been to ceremony? Have you been around ceremony? He said, no, I never have. And I said, then you actually can't speak about it.
Right.
Right. And
do you find you encounter people like that a lot who maybe get get an idea of what you do or something, or things that you work with, or like ceremony, and maybe they're coming from a more Christian based.
Totally. Yeah. No, you do, right? You do. Yeah. You run into people, not always as aggressive as that guy was.
Yeah.
But I said to him, we were talking there, and he said it to me 2 or 3 times. He said, God is a jealous God, right? And I said to him, I think you're making God like a human, right? And I don't think God is like a human, right? And I said, I think we're supposed to be more like God than he is supposed to be like us. And the guy said, you need to repent again for your sins. And I said, look, I got to tell you something. I said, I don't have sin, right? Native people don't have sin. And he said, yes, they do, right? And I said, you know what? No, we didn't have it before you got here. I said, we never had any such thing. So I said, we're just going to go ahead and let you have it, right? And we're not going to have it, right? And so I said, yeah, we're all going to heaven anyway. And he was like, you got choked at me, right?
So trying to looking at that from, say, what's probably going to underline our discussion is this idea of spirituality. And someone like that, they are practicing spirituality too, you could say, in a different way, sort of.
I don't think so.
It's okay, so why not?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they practice a religion.
Okay.
Not spirituality.
That.
Yeah. Because spirituality is everybody's. You don't have to join any kind club. Of thing, right? Yeah. To how? It's everybody's, right? It's not. Right. But in reality, people who follow a certain sort of ascribed religion believe that theirs is right. Somehow they've convinced themselves theirs is the one.
Okay, yeah.
And yours ain't.
Right.
Right. And so that
if
sort
that's
of
your idea, then that's not a spiritual practice.
totally not.
It should be an individual.
No, it's a dogma, right? It's really I mean, it's what I think is, if religion is good for people, good for them, right? If it helps somebody to, maintain and to do good things in life.
Yeah.
But religion didn't make good people. Good people were already here way before religion came on board, right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So, so it's not, but somehow they've convinced themselves of sort of being the chosen, right?
Right.
But being in residential school, I was forced to read the Bible and all this stuff. But I got in there that the guy who they all sort of follow, right, and worship, which is Jesus. He pretty much loved everybody. He pretty much was good with the people on the street, and good with everybody.
Right.
People who he wasn't good with was the people that say they knew, right? The ones that were, I'm the authority on this, right?
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, whoa.
Right. Relax,
man.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about this thing too, like, what is spirituality and what does it mean? Like, it seems like, and when you said there are good people before religion,
totally,
what does it mean to be a good person? And like, where do we get these values from?
Right.
That we practice?
Because good and bad is only human.
And we find that, or in our own search, like we don't need a religion to tell us that, because like what we spoke about last time we sat down was that people have their own little map, was what you kind of how you put it. They have this map that'll guide them. Yeah. And that's an individual subjective thing that you don't, if you learn, I don't know how to put it, but if you learn how to look in and find that map, you'll be able to, to pay attention. You'll be guided in the right way, that you don't need this religious doctrine to follow.
But I think, what I think is this idea that when we talk about spirituality and stuff, I think even as we say that, we're almost talking like it's separate from me.
Yeah.
I'll be guided. Right. Not like I'm already on the path. I'm on the path
now.
It's like still in our minds, right?
Yeah, it's how we talk about it, right?
In our social sort of stigma almost, right?
Yeah.
We're like, if I could only find the way, right? If I could find the path, or if I could just, listen or read that book or do that thing that would just get me over the edge there, right? You know what I mean?
And that's what you kind of mentioned just as we sat down. I don't know if it's going to be on the recording, just that you have this feeling that people are looking for something that they already have, or that
they are.
And everyone's
they are. Not that they have. See, they have is a separate thing, right?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when you say I have a spirit, it's not an accurate statement. I am a spirit. I have a body.
Right.
So I am what we are looking for. Right?
And what you're saying is that language matters too, because that shapes how we're thinking about things.
Totally.
And so if you change how you speak, you'll change how you think and how you are.
Yeah. Well, there's a saying: if you want to change the world, change your mind. Right.
Yeah.
And it totally does change the way you look at something.
Yeah.
But I think again we go back to that word awareness, right? Being aware of my words, right? And the effect that it has on me, because we have this language that's really, like I said, it's a separation language, as opposed to a traditional language. Like in my culture, we don't have the same separation. Like if we were outside and we saw an eagle, we'd say, "Oh yeah, look, there's an eagle," right? But in my culture, historically, they would say, "Oh, my relative, the eagle." Right, which totally binds them to to that.
My relative, right? Being. What does that word mean? Yeah, that means you're connected.
Yeah, totally connected in a deep way, right? My relative, my relation.
Right. Yeah, and that's something
we have a bond now. Right?
When you have that, when you do ceremonies, you use those words a lot.
Totally,
talking
absolutely.
About all my relations.
All my relations, and that's what it means, right? From the beginning of time, every living thing. All my relations, right? And in our culture, what I've learned is that everything has a spirit. The wind has a spirit. The fire has a spirit. Earth has a spirit, right? Water has a spirit. All living things, all things have spirit. Even rock has spirit.
So now I guess the question then is, what do you mean by spirit, and what is that? What is the spirit?
I guess, that's an interesting thing, because I mean, then that's a word again, right? We I don't know where that word came from, right? Spirit.
Yeah.
You could maybe you could call it your essence.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or
do you think, is it in a way it's like something you can communicate with or connect to? Like if the wind has a spirit, can you connect to the spirit of wind in some capacity?
I mean, my mind keeps going to this idea that when we say this thing, we're always making it like it's a separate thing from me, right? But let's say, for instance, the wind, right? The wind.
Yeah.
Am I connected to the wind, right? Like in terms of a spiritual sort of way,
yes,
right?
Right.
And I think the wind is out there. I see it blowing in the trees and everything.
Right.
What I don't realize is that every breath I take, the wind comes in me, and out of me, and it gives me life. I couldn't live without it. I mean, try holding your breath.
You
Can't live without it, right? So
what is wind? It's the movement of air.
I think what the real sort of dilemma, if you will, is we have this idea of separation from everything.
That's funny.
We talk about it like the water is separate from me,
right?
But I'm 75% water, right?
More water than anything.
And I can't be if I don't have that water in me. So it is who I am. I'm not. It's not I'm part of the water. It is me. Yeah, right. Like I remember this lady one time talked to me about going somewhere to help someone pass from cancer, right? And, this person was passing away, and she went to be with her. And I asked her after when she came back, I said, how was it, right? She said, it was difficult. She said, sometimes I had to draw on the stars and the planets for my energy. And I said to her, won't it be a wonderful day when you realize you are the stars and the planets? Right. Right.
And that you actually are, though. And if you break it down.
Absolutely are. Yeah. Right? Carbon deposits. Right?
Yeah. I really respect what I've realized nowadays when I look up to someone or I respect someone. I do. Often the people that I respect are people who are choosing their words carefully and deciding to speak their truth to the world, whether the consequences are good or bad. They're just gonna say things as they believe them to be and pick their words carefully. It's a skill too. It's hard to do. It's easy to fall into slang and just normative lingo that everyone's using. But the people I look up to nowadays are people who are able to do that, and that's like a goal that I have for myself too. Is I want to hone in on my language too and be better at expressing what we actually mean. I think that's a really valuable thing to have, and it's very meaningful too. It can have an effect on the whole community to have people to stand up and speak the truth as it is.
The truth is an interesting term right there, right? Yeah. Speak the truth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do I have a truth and you have a truth? Or is
I
there
kind of
just
think so.
The truth?
I think we do each have
our own truth.
I think so. Huh. Now, but maybe, is there also this thing that is true for everyone? Maybe,
what was J. Krishnamurti said, the truth is a pathless land.
Pathless.
A pathless land. Which really means to me, I can't tell you how to get there. You gotta go by yourself. Right. Right.
And that to me is a spiritual idea. That's like the spiritual path is like choosing to trust yourself and follow your own path.
It's interesting, right? I gotta, even it's an interesting thing, right? This idea, right? I remember going into a bookstore, an esoteric bookstore one time, and I was looking through the books, right? And it was like the inner self, this self and that self. And I started looking at all these books and I was thinking, wow, there's a lot of books about the self, right? And then I thought, what's interesting is when I was born, when you were born, into this world, we had no sense of self. We were one with the universe.
Yeah, yeah.
We were absolutely one with the universe, right? Then somehow, as we got older, we were taught this self thing, right?
Right.
It was like it's almost like ego, right?
Yeah.
People said to me, "You're this, that's a dog. You're this, that's a tree.
Yeah.
You're this, that's a whatever. On and on and on." So after being sort of indoctrinated in all these things, I find myself over here, and everything else is over there.
Right.
Right. And that's the separation blues.
Supreme,
right?
I heard you say that. Yeah,
so.
And it is through language.
And
it does come down to that.
So when we talk about awareness, right? Awareness is really about there's no way somebody can take you to that spirit, right? To the it's your own thing. You have to do it we have to do it on our own.
Yeah.
However, what I think is really sort of interesting is that I find in interacting with people, we all think we're looking for it somewhere, And I remember once a spirit said to me, when I was in ceremony, it said to me, "When did you first start looking for the answers outside of yourself?" And when it said that, I thought, I've always looked outside myself. I mean, I saw teachers, I've read books,
Right.
I searched everywhere.
Yeah.
But what I realized when it said that was, I never ever looked inside myself. Never once thought that I could have the thing that I was looking for the whole time.
Right.
And I think that sort of triggered something inside of me, right? Well, what if I have what I'm looking for?
Right.
What if there's nothing to look for? There's nothing to get. There's nowhere to go, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like, so there is no sort of brass ring at the end of it.
I could see that being interpreted in two different extremes. On one hand, that's kind of a freeing, empowering idea. On the other hand, it's almost kind of a depressing idea that, well, what am I looking? Why do anything then? Why even talk to anyone? I have it all. Why even read a book?
Do you think having it all means that you don't talk to anybody?
I don't know. Maybe. Well, then I guess you don't have it all. You don't have a relationship, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of just brainstorming.
Well, that's interesting, right? That's interesting. I mean, the idea of relationship isn't always about talking, right? We can sit together outside and sit there in the sun, and we're in total relation,
right?
But we don't need to talk.
Sure, right? Yeah. And I don't need to say question. It doesn't always have to be questions and answers either. We can just be in relation and be who we are.
Just be. Yeah. What a thought, right?
Yeah. Well, this triggered I asked myself some questions earlier, just thinking about these ideas that we might be talking about. And one of the things I asked myself was, what is the single most meaningful thing in my own life that means the most to me? And I thought right away it's my relationship with my now wife. That's the most meaningful thing I have. And I thought, why is that? It comes down to a relationship, the relationship of going through so much together, and that she knows me probably better than anyone, and all that. Very little comes close to that. I could lose everything I have, all the house and the property, everything, lose my dogs. But if I still had her, I think I would be okay. It's not like I could lose all that other stuff.
Is it her or is it love?
Is it her or is it love itself?
Yeah. Oh. I mean, that's when we talk about partner relations.
Yeah.
It's when we met our partners, we looked at them or we met them and socialized, and then we realized they had something, right? That made me feel good, right?
Yeah, right.
And it was like, so then we decide they have my love, right? And if you do what you need to do, then you'll get that love, right? And that's what we want. So when the moment we're born, that's what we want, right?
Sure,
we're hungry for it. So, and we end up actually compromising ourselves for it, right?
Lots in often, life, right? Yeah.
So then, but in reality, and just as my opinion, she doesn't have it. She doesn't have it, right? She's looking to you for hers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, it's like you're both looking at each other thinking, oh, you got mine. And, you know.
But then deep down, it's something I have already in me. Or is that what you're trying to say?
What I'm saying is that you were born in love. You were born into it, right? And then just the same as, you know, the world got a hold of you and the self developed, right? The sense of self, right?
Yeah.
Which separated me from everything else, right? Because my ego says, oh, yeah, I'm over here.
Yeah.
You're all over there.
Yeah. And I don't have that. I don't have this. I don't have these things.
And so I think that, you know, this idea of love is that, you know, there's a state of being and it's love. It's in love. I'm in love, right? Not a place, not a destination. I'm in love.
Right.
And so all of creation reflects to you the unconditional stuff that you've been sort of looking for all your life, that you found when you met your partner, right? This unconditional.
Right.
Someone loves me unconditionally. It doesn't matter what, you know, what I'm doing.
Yeah, it takes the pressure right off then.
Well, kind of. You know. I mean, you know, eventually you know, it's a wonderful thing, but I think that we need to, so everything in creation reflects this unconditional. Like the sun shines you, it don't care on you. It doesn't care, right?
Right,
It doesn't care if you're good or bad or, you know, handsome or, you know, ugly or, it doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
Shines on you anyway,
it's like
right?
My dogs.
Yeah.
They don't care what I look like that day. They're going to be excited to see me no matter what.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard someone say that to me the other day. They said to lock your wife and your dogs in your trunk of your car for 2 hours, and then when you open it, see who's happy to see you.
That's funny. I like that. Yeah.
There's no question.
The dogs.
Yeah. But that's
so
their stuff is unconditional, right?
Yeah. No, I've heard that said, like a lot of I don't want to say people expressing spiritual beliefs. I was going to say like spiritual teachers or things, but just people talking about these kind of ideas. A lot of it comes down to this idea that love is the answer. It's about love. No matter how you slice it, no matter you kind of put it together, it comes down to this idea of love.
Universal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unconditional.
Every single one of us are looking for it, right? Every single one of us want it. Now, we have a choice of like, we can look for it or we can be in it.
Right.
It's not a destination, right? It's not somewhere like we can look for it our whole lives, right? But it's like the idea that we said, looking for a spirit, right? It's you.
There. It's here.
It's you, right?
It's right here.
It's me.
Yeah.
So again, it's a hard one because we've been taught in the world that we live in that we're faulty, first of all, right? We'll never make the grade.
Right.
And we grow up in a society that says you're not enough.
Yeah, you have to work your ass off.
Strong enough or tough enough or
if
handsome
you
enough
work
or rich
really,
enough.
really hard and make enough money, and then maybe you'll be loved by some people.
Yeah, or maybe you'll be enough, right? Maybe you'll be good enough.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's an illusion, right? And so because of that illusion, we'll spend our whole lives trying to be enough. And in truth, we've always been enough. Always been enough, right? And if I do this different tomorrow, that'll be enough too, right? It's kind of a mindset.
Yeah, perspective.
Yeah, it's a perspective, but it's a program kind of in a way, right? It's our social stuff, right?
But then would you say you also continue to have a relationship with that state too? Because you have to wake up every morning and your state of mind changes throughout the day because of life, because of time goes on and things change. So it's to be in simply only a state of this love seems very difficult, that it would be challenging to always, feel that.
But I think, but then I think we have to kind of cut out our idea of love. Like we have
okay.
this idea, we painted a picture of love. Now it's perfect, and we don't never get
Right.
angry when you're in love,
Oh yeah.
and all this stuff. But you know what? Maybe love is not part of that as well. Maybe, I mean, human emotions are one thing, right? And the truth of it is human emotions are here to help us discover ourselves, right? So angry, if someone does something to, anger me,
Yeah.
which is impossible, right? They can't, nobody can do anything to anger you. It's your anger.
Yeah.
So this stuff here happens. I get angry, right?
Yeah.
I think it's their fault.
Yeah.
But it's a message to me. My emotions send a message to me. They say something's not right. And I need to look at it. So I have to stop. If I could just for a moment stop and go, hey, what is this here that I'm feeling, right?
Yeah.
I'm feeling anger. From what, right? What is it?
Right.
Well, I'm frustrated, right? And so oftentimes frustration leads to anger, right? And then, if I follow that line, the teaching will be mine. It'll be about me, right? It'll be about something about me that I can learn to grow and become more.
If you're in a state of this loving perspective that you sort of you have this love, you're in this love, then you can talk about forgiveness. You can forgive yourself instantly for being angry, say, and you can move on and you can figure out why. Whereas if you aren't able to do that, it's going to be really hard to remove yourself from that state of mind, maybe that emotion, enough to look at why it's happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's either that or you're what is it, psychopath?
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
But yeah, you know what I think is that. You know what I think is interesting is the idea of forgiveness, right? We have in our minds this picture of what that means, right? To forgive, right? To forgive. I did something wrong, but I'll forgive myself.
Yeah.
Right.
So
what if I haven't done anything wrong?
Yeah.
And then where's the forgiveness?
Right. Yeah.
What if
changing
the things that we do
wrong?
What if everything in your life has been exactly perfect?
Right.
Perfect. Right? And everything has helped you to become who you are right here, right this moment, right?
Right.
So what was wrong? Where was the wrong
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
right? So humans are the only ones that have that, right? That right, wrong, good, bad. Nowhere else in creation, right? Nowhere else in creation. The willows don't go, God, those pines are taking up all the sunlight. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right.
Let's get a little willow meeting going here. And, you know what I mean? Nothing like that.
Yeah.
Never. Like the eagle grabs that fish in the springtime, eats it while it's still living. Right. There's no
wrong there.
There's no wrong, not at all. So we are the only ones. And where it come from, I'm unclear. I could surmise lots of stuff. But,
yeah.
You know, so we have this idea, right, where we measure everything by good and bad. It's either good or it's bad, right?
So if you can change your perspective enough to think maybe it's neither, and then maybe you can kind of.
What if it's just stuff?
You can just laugh then. It's just stuff. It just
right?
is what it is, and it's kind of funny.
And if stuff happens and you get what the stuff is teaching you, it's perfect, right? And if you don't get it, you'll probably do more stuff. And until you get it.
Till you get it. Yeah, yeah. You'll keep being really angry.
And so there's a perfect sort of rhythm or something there, right? That is part of our natural capacity to just move through life. And I think that there's a lot of people that won't ever have the discussion that we're having, right, about spirit, right? There's lots of people that have no idea, I'm not interested in all, and then that's okay, right? I mean, I don't think I've ever really had this sort of deep thought about what is it. You know what I mean? I just never have really thought, gee, I wonder what spirit is.
Right.
I just learned at some point to pay attention.
Yeah.
To pay attention and sort of connect the dots in a way.
Right.
Right. And come to sort of realizations.
Yeah. That's
about certain things.
Since I met you, that's the one thing that stuck with me. Just that little idea of pay attention. Yeah. Something I would say I learned from you, maybe. At least putting it that way. Like, pay attention. Like, And by even saying pay attention, it's kind of implying that life has meaning, that there's things going on that are meaningful, and you can learn from them all.
They're connected, right?
Right.
There's not one thing that's not connected in some way. Just like we were talking earlier about relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There's even our actions have relationship. Even our thoughts have relationship. But we have this idea of separation. It's built into the society we live in, right? And there's all kinds of things that support that idea of separation. But I think what happens is that when we start to realize that we're not separate, it changes the dynamics of the entire
It does
thing.
change everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, someone came up to me the other day. It was interesting. Someone came up to me and said to me, I just wanted to thank you, right? You changed my life. And I was like,
nice.
what the heck do you mean by that, right? And they
Yeah.
said, well, remember I met you and we had this conversation. And I said, I appreciate you saying that, but I didn't change your life, right?
Okay.
I didn't change your life. You did, right? I mean, we may have a conversation. I don't remember the conversation, but whatever happened, you took that.
Yeah.
Right?
And then it's important to...
I don't have the power to change somebody's life, right? I only my own, right?
Now that's a little thing for you, because you could take that. You didn't have to say it that way. You could say, "Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I like changing people's lives.
Am I cool?
Oh, I'm pretty cool, I guess." Yeah. You could take it that way.
Well, what I know is that things work through you, not from you.
Oh yeah.
And you can share, and that's what we've got, right? It's an interesting thing, because there's two real sort of fundamental different worlds, right? One world that we live in says, if I know more than you, it makes me more powerful than you, right? And I won't tell you because I'll maintain my power, right? By knowing more.
Right, yeah.
In a traditional sort of world, at least in culturally speaking, there was a belief that if you had knowledge and you didn't share it, it was of no value whatsoever.
Because that's saying you're connected to your community at the very least.
To everything.
Yeah.
Right.
At least the people around you. So if you don't tell them, you're hurting yourself too.
Yeah. It's not. What's the point, right?
Right.
What's the point of having knowledge if you don't share it, right? And so the world we live in, the society we live in, is different. We have a different thinking around it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, hey,
and it comes to that power idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This
It does
idea of
come.
power.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you might say, I mean, it's interesting because the word power is so, it's so multifaceted. Right?
Yeah.
But it in some way, when we're talking about spirituality, power is kind of like the ability to not know.
What does that mean?
Well, the ability to not know, right? The greatest words. This lady asked me once. It was a while ago, and I did these stories. I don't know if I told you this, but these people asked me to tell some stories, right? Traditional stories,
right?
And so I went out, and there was a group of people. It was probably 30 people that were middle-aged executive people, right?
Okay.
That were doing well. They were They were successful, right, in their work.
Right.
And the people that asked me to tell a story were selling them an adventure, basically, right? They were saying, hey, you work too much. Come on, let's pay us this and we'll take you and give you an adventure, man.
Okay.
Create a memory for you, right?
Yeah.
And people that are in that field are like, yes, that's exactly what I need. Right? And so it was a good business deal, right?
Yeah.
See the Northern Lights, whatever, right?
Yeah,
and they were from down south.
Okay, they weren't from
so
here.
it was interesting because I sat there in the circle and I said, let's introduce ourselves and tell me something. Tell me what you'd like to get out of this time we spent together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody, went on. This gal said to me, I would like you to tell me the greatest learning that you've ever had in your life up to this moment.
Oh, wow.
And I said, no problem. I'll tell you once it comes around. So, everybody went around. People said different things, but at some point it came back to me, right? And I said, I want to just say something to you guys, right? And I mean this, right? I said, you're all full of shit. right? And they just responded like I threw cold water on them, right?
Oh man.
And I said, just let me just tell you what I mean by that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I told them the shit story, right? I think we
yeah.
talked about that.
Yeah, that's right. That with
And
the
then
raven.
I told them about it, right? The stuff that we gather from people around us,
Right.
the bills that actually is what we're trying to swim through now, right? To try to find who we are.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is that shit,
all the stuff
right?
we've built up.
All the stuff, the doo-doo, right?
Yeah.
So, and they all said, after I said that, they were like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay, when you put it that way.
Yeah. So I said to
Yeah.
the woman, and now I'm going to tell you, right? The greatest learning that I've ever had in my life. And everybody was just,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
said,
Oh.
when I realized I was full of shit.
Mm.
That's honest, right? That's the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
When I realized that there's a part of me that's been programmed by the world I've grown up in and the society I live in,
Yeah.
and that program might not be real, might not be true.
Mm.
What if it's not, right? And so when I came to that realization, it shifted something in me so that said, well, maybe we should start looking at this, right? And paying attention to
Yeah.
it,
When you
right?
say that, it makes me think of just the things I'm sort of programmed. My response is to just respond to certain situations a certain way. If
Yeah.
someone's late for work and I go, oh, what are you doing? You're late for work. When I should say, how's your day been? What's going on? Like
Yeah.
just these responses that are just so normal, just for all little tiny things throughout the day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of not me though. It's not really me.
No,
It
but
just,
the program just kicks in, right?
yeah, the habit.
Did I ever tell you about the little boy I watched? One day we went. My daughter was doing this, doing a skating sort of ice capades, but for little
Okay.
children. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I went to get her outfit at the school, and I watched this little boy. He was probably a year and a half old, maybe. He hadn't got quite the walking down yet, right?
Okay.
He'd give her and then he'd fall over, right?
Yeah.
And then he'd get up and just smiling and just having a grand time, right? And I watched him, right? I observed him, right? As he'd run a little bit and then fall down. And I saw his grandpa there kind of smiling at him and
Yeah.
waving at him. And I watched this guy, and you know what I thought? I looked at this little boy and I thought, does he think? Because I think in a language.
Right.
And he doesn't have a language. And so I thought, does he think? And I thought, you know what? He doesn't think. He doesn't think. You know what he does is his whole communication is sensation based.
Right.
He has a sensation based communication. So if he gets hurt, I mean, you know what? If you're somewhere and there's a child there and you hear that cry from that child that there's some kind of a thing, you instantly react, man.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, whoa, what's going on? I'm gonna
Communicates faster than anything he could say.
right to the heart. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the same thing is like if you're in a supermarket, for instance, there's somebody pushing a little child there in their cart, and the child looks at you and smiles. It lights you up, right? It's like it just makes you feel so god darn good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's and not a word.
Mm-hmm.
Not a word spoken. They never question why they did that, or if it was appropriate to smile at someone they've never met before.
Right.
Or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That social sort of thing, right? And I thought, once he learns this language, he won't be able to do that anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You kind of lose that. You lose that. It becomes harder.
I don't think you lose it, but it gets buried.
Yeah.
Underneath.
Becomes more
the
difficult.
You know what.
To communicate from the heart or something, just as you are, that kind of idea.
Well, it's kind of unacceptable, isn't it, in society?
Often, yeah, for sure.
Because you can, and
we make people really nervous or uncomfortable at the very least.
You know what's the most accepted emotion, sort of, in society?
Anger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Eh? It's okay to be angry, but don't get sad. And don't laugh too much either, because we'll just think you're crazy.
My first thought, I was thinking, like, if you're in the grocery store, what are you most likely to see? Probably someone angry, and other people just go, oh, he's pissed off at the clerk or whatever.
Yeah.
You see someone crying in the grocery store, that's a whole different, that makes you uncomfortable.
Totally.
You better move away from that.
Get away.
Yeah.
Or go down a different aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
That stuff is the social stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's a huge thing, right? I mean, we're here, we're living, the skills we've developed are incredible, but there's something behind them. It's who I'm looking for is me, right? You know,
Yeah.
and I'm realizing that what they told me isn't me. And how they told me to respond isn't really me, right? In that way, I'm programmed.
And it's
So when I think in terms of, even when we talk about the spirituality, it's actually stepping out of the program, right? Questioning, just being aware, right? Why do I do that? Like because we react to things, right? And so you say, when you react, rather than going, oh, jeepers, I shouldn't have reacted like that, to be able to say, interesting. I wonder why I do that.
Right. And break and just look.
And so without the judgment, it's neither good nor bad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It gives you a clearer path, right? You get to actually look at it.
So how do you think people best go about changing these patterns of thought? Do you have any suggestions for if someone's just thinking, I am caught up in a whole bunch of BS, routines and sort of fearful thinking about things. I'd like to change that. How can people do that?
I think you need to decide. A person needs to decide to be aware.
Right.
Choose to be aware, because we choose to not be aware.
Just more conscious.
What's interesting is I really, that's one of those things, right? You can't be more conscious because you were born conscious.
Yeah. Okay.
So all you can be is less unconscious. Really, right?
Yeah.
And I think that maybe even that's what we're talking about when you talk about a spiritual being, I would think, is a conscious being, right?
Yeah.
Conscious, but having removed yourself from the judgment stuff. And
yeah, that's what for me, that's been a lot of what I've had to do, what I've done for myself is allow myself to be socially embarrassed for things. That I struggled with that a lot when I was younger, that I would prevent myself from being myself because I'd feel like, that'd be embarrassing if I did that. That would be, I'd feel ashamed if I were to speak that way or to say what I really think, or,
Yeah.
And that's been something I've gotten better and better at. And I feel it's very valuable to be able to be willing to be socially awkward or things in order to speak from your heart more or communicate what you really believe.
Right. Even when we say speak from the heart, what we're talking about is our spirit, not our heart. Not that piece of meat that sits inside your chest.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? But when we say, I want to learn to speak from my heart, it really translated means I want to be my true self.
Yeah, that's right. Your true self.
Which is what we call our spirit, right? So here's the thing, right? So when I was born, let's even go before that, right? Let's go before I was born, right? Let's go to where my parents got together physically, right? Even though we don't want to dwell on that kind of stuff. There was a time after they were together, I wasn't here, right? I wasn't here. There was nobody here. But at some point in time, and not too far after the actual engagement they had, this spark of life came into my mother's womb, right? That was me.
Right.
One tiny, tiny spark of life, right? It came into my mother's womb, right? That was me, right? And that spark started to build around itself a physical being, right? It started to grow these pieces and parts and stuff and develop. And, approximately 9 months later, I came into the world with, by the way, the most absolutely perfect custom suit that spark could wear. Right. You call it my physical body, but I built it for me. Right. It wasn't built for nobody else, right? Nobody else in this world ever has had this body. Right. And nobody ever will forever, right? So there's only one, and it was made just for me. Right. So then the spark, right? And so I'm wearing this body. This isn't me. I'm what I call my heart. Yeah. Right. I'm inside here, but I'm not my body. Yeah. Right? And so one day, and we wear our bodies, right? Just like a suit of clothes, right? And so, and you wear them long enough, they get raggy, beat up, worn out. Yeah. And someday I'll take it off. Someday
Right.
I'll take this suit off, right? And I will be the same exact spark that went into my mother, not an older spark,
Mm.
just this, the
Right.
same exact one. So there's something that's really important about that, is like, because see, in this world, people can mess with your mind, right? And they do, right? The world messes with your mind, right? And even our conversations and about that, right? How do we undo the knot that people have tied us in, right?
Yeah.
People can mess with your body physically, and they do,
Yeah.
through just various, lots of different ways, right? People can mess with your emotions, and they absolutely do. But the one thing that that people can't mess with is the spark that came into our mother in the beginning. It's not from here, right? It's not from here. So
Yeah.
the thing the world can't touch is that, right? And
Right,
that's
right,
what we're
right.
talking about.
That's
That's
the
the essence
purest-
of our conversation
Right.
right now.
Yeah.
Is that
Hmm.
I'm untouchable. I mean, I get hung up. It's like, oh, my body got all messed up when I was a kid or whatever, right? I mean, or emotionally, I'm just screwed up, right? Like you were just saying, it's like having a hard time sort of, expressing yourself.
Yeah.
The biggest fear of humanity, remember, did I tell you that?
I don't know.
The fear of rejection
Yeah.
is the biggest fear, and it motivates us like crazy, right?
Right.
To not say stuff or to say stuff, or but it's like the bottom line.
Yeah. Right.
We don't want to get rejected.
And if that's our biggest fear, you're talking about our biggest desire to be in love.
Accepted, yeah.
Right.
To be 100% in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So right now as we speak, are you in or are you out? Is down the road somewhere? You'll walk down that trail sometime and you'll find in.
It's really empowering when you just say something like that. I think it just triggers a little thought of like, right, it's fine, everything's fine, I'm doing great.
Absolutely.
I'm in a great mood all of a sudden. It's like it just puts you in the moment instead of thinking.
And that's where it is, right?
Yeah.
It's in this moment, right here, right now.
Yeah.
The spirit lives in the moment. Spirit isn't like, you don't have an old spirit, a young spirit.
Yeah.
It's always in the moment.
And that's what I was thinking of as well when you're talking about that story, that idea that you come in front, like, yeah, and this is just gets a little.
Oh, and then where do you come from?
Yeah, where you come from, and then are we all? Yeah, like I kind of visualize it too a little bit like it's a giant pool somewhere, and that we're all like, say, all of our spirits are in that pool. But they're all the same. That's the same pool. It's like a pool of water. We're each a little drop of that water,
Yeah.
and we go back to it at the end, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I visualize it, anyway.
Yeah.
So that we're separate, but we're not. We're just a big body of water.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. It's like being a drop of the water and a drop of water in the ocean and thinking you're a unique individual. Right?
Yeah. Right.
That's how
Yeah.
we sort of, that's again our teaching, right?
Yeah.
You are unique, right? But the reality is, in terms of what I said about the spark building its own body, you couldn't be more unique. Only one in all of creation forever is you.
How
right?
amazing.
And so, and it's like a blink of an eye. Our life is like a blink of an eye, right?
Yeah.
It's so fast.
It tends to be, right? It is.
Yeah.
It is. Just how
Yeah.
it seems. You always look
Nothing,
back and go,
right?
"Oh my God, look at how fast things have gone."
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's nothing, right?
Right.
It's nothing.
And-
And we spend all that time sort of worrying about stuff that's of no real value, right? Not really
And
worth worrying about.
How sad is that? Hey? To look back, really, and to think,
Don't look back. It's
how long did I spend worrying about such and such? But
However, instead of doing that, then look at this moment and say,
yeah, how
look
amazing.
where I'm at.
That
This
reminds
is
me.
incredible.
One time I ran into you. I don't know if you remember where we were, but you were telling me about this one time and talking about this sort of shift in perspective and just being in the moment. I remember you talking about going into like a Tim Hortons, I think it was, or something, and you were looking through the glass.
Oh yeah,
at
the
all
miracle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, talking about what an amazing miracle it is that you can just come pick out a donut, and how amazing it is that it's all just there. Where did it all come from? It's the glass is
and
made way
following
over
it
here.
back,
And,
right? Who planted those plants that made the flour that made those donuts?
yeah,
And
that's
someone
right, yeah.
mined the metal to make the machine that helped that guy plant, and then went back to the sun and the earth and the water
the
and
seasons
the air,
and
right? Yeah,
just how connected it really is.
yeah, how phenomenal, right? You know?
Yeah.
And there I am staring at this multicolored donut, right? And who made that? Who made that icing? Those little dots on there that came from sugar cane, right? And
Yeah,
you know
like
what I
who
mean? It's
knows
like,
where that came from.
Wow, incredible. And then, but what the thing about it was, when I saw it, right, it was phenomenal, right? It seemed so stupid and simple, right? But it was phenomenal.
Yeah, right.
And then when I saw it, I realized that whenever I looked at it, I had a feeling about it, right? It wasn't just a mental thing.
Yeah,
I had a physical feeling, right, about it, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized that when I seen it, I realized the whole thing is like this incredible miracle that I mostly don't ever look at.
Right.
That I am it, right? I'm not separate from it. I am it.
Right.
Right. And if that thing alone, if a person could just say and know, I am the miracle. I am a miracle.
Right. Yeah.
I am this miracle.
Right. Yeah. And we are. Because
Totally.
if you look at us, we're the same thing. Where did we come from? Everything in us has been all over the place. Who knows?
Right, yeah.
I think you've talked about this before too, somewhere. This idea of the water in us. Who knows where that water was before it was in us?
Yeah,
that
in
could
4
have been
billion years. Right?
Yeah, that could have been across the world in some ocean, or it could
Was.
It have been in the clouds and raining, and we're so connected to everything. It's amazing. It really is a miracle.
So one of the things that and this is kind of the base of this conversation, is that idea that we're not connected, right? The separation blues, right? It's
right.
So to me, when I said don't look, what the hell are you looking for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is it a concept you're looking for? Is it what will happen when you start glowing, when you figure it out? It's like, will you know that you're there? Is it something that you can kind of grab a hold of?
Yeah.
Ooh, I got the spirituality now, man.
Right.
I'm good, right?
I guess, well, if I think about it honestly, I'm someone who's, I think, has been seeking a lot, always seeking, looking for something true, like the just hardcore truth I can just grab and go, this is it. This is the truth, This is God right here. I found it.
Yeah.
That kind of idea. But that is kind of it seems like that is an empty pursuit, ultimately.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when you do that, when you come to that place where you get the knowing, it's like you drive a stake into the ground, right? I own this now. It's mine. I got it, right?
Right.
Trouble is, nothing's like that in the universe, in the world, right? Nothing is static. Nothing is ever like a stake in the ground. And when you drive that stake in, you tether yourself to that spot, to the knowing.
Yeah.
Right. And meanwhile, everything flows past you. The universe and all things move past
That's
you.
right. Yeah.
And you're stuck because you got the knowing. Right?
Yeah.
So
and that's almost how you think probably like religions start up. This is it right here. We're putting a stake in right here, and we're sticking to our beliefs. It doesn't matter 2,000 years from now.
And people come in and have other ideas and say, hey, well, what about this? They say, no,
well, definitely not.
Don't even bring that in here, right?
Yeah.
Because this is it.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Here's your stake. Drive it in.
Yeah.
Well, so they do, man.
That's something I thought maybe we could talk about. It's switching gears a little bit, but talking about the relationship between youth, talking about some young people growing up, and and older people, say, and that are more conservative, maybe have their beliefs figured out what works in the world, and kind of have some values set up and some things that are like, hey, these work. Maybe they're not the best or the only way, maybe they're not the best way, maybe they're not the only way, but the system we have works. It's working, it's functional. And then it's sort of like the young people who come up in our cultures or communities, and I think when you're a young person, you can see all the bullshit around you. You're very open to the bullshit that old people are trying to say, hey, this is the way things are, and this is how it has to be. And young people are kind of that voice of change and stuff in our communities. But I think the question I was thinking about was about, say, this spirituality, do you think as a young person you can find that same connection even if you're a teenager?
I think you're closer to it.
You're closer to it.
You're closer to it. You're not bound, right? See, we in the society that we're talking about, and you talk about this works, this is the stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every generation has that. Every generation of old people, like, oh my God, when Elvis Presley first came on TV, it was like, oh my God, he was like devil himself, right? Like, don't, you know what I mean? And then Elvis was okay after that, right? And then someone else was, and every generation has kind of come to that, but every generation has seen through the older generation,
right?
And in their response is I'm not doing this, I'm not buying this. So they physically demonstrate their desire not to be part of it. I'm not going to be you,
right? That rebellious,
I'm going to be somebody else, right? Something else, you know. And so every single generation has done that, right? Every generation, probably from the beginning.
So that's just a natural process, maybe then.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting, but I when I just said that, I just thought about like a more traditional kind of thing, and I thought, gee, I don't think my ancestors used to do that. The younger generation never like, I don't, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they.
So maybe there is a way to be more in balance with it, with like respecting new ideas from the younger generation and keeping things that work.
Do you know what I think? What it boils down to is equal value. Equal value.
Yeah.
We have this social value thing, right? It's a hierarchical value system, right? It's like you're older, you know more, you get, you know, young people don't really know much, right? So they don't have the same value, socially speaking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when a child is born, gosh, they're not even really anything, right? Until they mimic us, right?
Yeah.
Then we recognize them as humans, right? If they mimic our behavior, we're like, oh, isn't that cute? Look at that. Right? And they become they're human now, okay? And then you know they kind of are something that we carry, right? We carry them like they get in our way of doing the things we used to do. But we can't now because we got kids, right?
Yeah.
And then the kids grow up and they come into their own thinking, their own power of thought, right?
Yeah.
And then they freak us out because they're not us, right? They're not thinking the same way as us. And, and I don't like that, right? You know, and you know what I mean? But they eventually become the same thing, right? And the next generation does exactly the same thing. And so it's a very, again, I think that has to do with social value, right?
Yeah.
You know, because in a traditional world, honestly, like people like the Sangit people, when a child was born into their community, it was a gift from the Creator, from the great mystery, right? It was a gift, and the whole community owned that child. You know, it wasn't like that family, that's their kids, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
The whole community saw that this child was the gift, right?
Right.
And so they all gave their goodness to that child, right? They all taught the child what they had, what they knew. They gave all the goodness that they could. If you think about growing up, belonging to a community, right? Imagine the love you must have felt. Right?
Yeah, right.
The sense of belonging.
Right. Yeah.
Right? There certainly was no gangs in them days.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You know, but so then when that person came to the place of puberty, or you know, the shift of becoming a man, he had everything that they had given him, right? All the goodness that they've given him, and his natural movement was to become, you know, a citizen or become a, you know, like that, right?
And more of I can't think of a good word, but more of an easier merging, say, of those ideas of the new like a young person can add things, because I do feel if you look at young people today, we are not giving them that type of respect.
Totally not.
No,
totally not. That's why I say the social structure, the hierarchical structure says you're young, you really don't know anything, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad because even though we know they might be 10 times as creative, I'm the king. Right. I don't want you freaking taking my place.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I'm sitting on the throne. I'm staying here, man. Eventually, someone's gonna usurp my throne, but I'm not going without a fight. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It ain't you, buddy. So,
yeah.
So that's an interesting thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That social structure makes us so that we see it differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I said this to someone yesterday, actually, when I work with people, right, young people or whatever, and they said to me, "What's the difference? Why do they respond to you?" And I said, "Because I talk to the me inside of them, right? I recognize it."
And that's respect.
And that's respect. That's exactly what it is, respect.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody sees that you see them, really see them, you have communication, right? It's it's real, no BS.
Yeah.
And that's different.
That's something I believe in. I do think we should be treating our young people with more respect in general, and treating them like they're capable people of thinking for themselves and helping our communities in a big way. When I was young, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like my community valued me. I didn't get that. And I was very like rebellious in my own way. I was very much fuck the man, rage against the machine. I don't want to be part of the system at all. And I wanted to speak out against it. And but I would say in recent years, I also now recognize some of the things we have that are very good, it's nice to go to a restaurant and order a meal and be able to exchange this service and everything. That's really nice to have. It's a good thing. We don't want to just burn it all to the ground. It's not a good idea either.
Yeah.
So we want to like incorporate both. And like if we're gonna change our community, it can be a peaceful process and not have to be this fight, one against the other all the time.
Well, I think what it would become is, once people become more themselves in a way, is I think it's really, I call it remembering who you are, right? Once you remember who you are, then you'll be able to see who you're not. And I think we spent most of our lives trying to be something we're not.
Yeah.
Right. And so now we're really at a point where it's like, you know what? I actually don't want to be the things that I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be what I am, who I am. Right.
Yeah.
So we've always sort of, with our physical eyes or whatever, we've always looked outside of ourselves for the answer. Time to look inside now, right?
Right. And
because this is where it's,
when individuals start doing that changes our community.
Totally changes the community. It changes how we see young people.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't do anything sort of real special, but I totally know lots of young people that when I talk to them, we'll shake hands, right? It's just a sort of a thing, right? And I'll oftentimes say, "How's it going, brother?" Right? Because I really mean that. I don't mean, "Hey, what's up, bro?"
Yeah. I
mean, I get that, right?
Yeah.
No matter how young, in a Tlingit society, and this is just again going back to that, but everybody had equal value, from the baby right up to the elder, had equal value. Now it's changing, right? It's like elders are more, sort of like that, right? Even that, it's sort of seeped into the sort of traditional stuff, but equal value.
Yeah.
No better, no worse, right? Equal value, right? When you see someone, and that's a challenge, because we've been programmed into a certain way of thinking, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This equal value thing too, it comes like it's, and what is value? Because like there's, say, a lot of say conflict between people, like women, say, who feel they're not being valued as much because men make more money in the jobs that men do, and say some of the jobs that women do don't make as much money. But I feel like what it comes down to is really that value thing. It's not necessarily they just want to make as much money, but they, like, a woman wants to be valued for her work and for who she is, right?
And to be recognized, right?
Yeah. And it comes down to value, though, and it depends. And often we just associate value with money. That's if you get paid as much, then you're valued as much. But it's not really like that.
That isn't right. That's
not the full picture.
Yeah, and I think there's some cultures, like our culture, Tlingit culture. We were a matriarchal culture, right? So the women were the head.
Oh,
Women were the deciders, the lawmakers, right? But we had this incredible notion that women were for life, right? They were they were the ones that gave the children, right?
Yeah.
So the things that they decided were for life. And if they were like a body, if we were a body, men would be the head and the women would be the heart, right? And not that those are not like one's better than the other.
Yeah.
They need to work together.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of it, right? To be able to work together, but for life, right? The women were for life.
You say for life, like, what do you mean for life?
The things, because they see, one of the things that I realized when I saw my son born, right? What I realized is he wasn't from me or his mom. He was somebody else. He came through us. We were like the gate, but he wasn't me, right? And my job, in a way, was I realized it right away, to be his protector, to be his guide to some degree, and to figure out how to get the hell out of his way so he could be himself. But, so he didn't have to get over all my crap to find out who he was,
Don't
right?
put all your stuff
and so,
on him.
So the thing about it is, men, theirs is a contribution. Women's a commitment. 9 months, right?
Yeah.
That baby grows inside. It's a miracle, right?
Yeah.
They're the miracle. And they will have a relationship with children that we will never have, no matter how hard we try.
Right.
It's just an amazing thing. So their whole sort of take on it is for life. That's what I mean. It's for that. They're the life givers, right? And oftentimes men were looked at as the life takers. We were different,
right?
And so, but we made the balance.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I think what, when we talk about that, it's the value, right? Equal value.
Yeah, but not
money wise, but in human wise. Right?
Yeah.
Equal value.
Yeah. That's
not
what
lesser, but we grew up in a society that did spoil that, right? That did change that. Men were the boss. Men were like this. Men,
Yeah, it did become. Yeah, it seems like that's what our society became here.
And we may be coming out of that. Hopefully, we are.
Yeah, I have a feeling we are. I have a feeling.
Although it's about us learning to live intentionally. To do. It won't happen unless we do it. It's like saying I'm racist, right? And I'm racist because I'm born into a racist society, right? And the only way I can not be racist is intentionally not be racist.
Right, and be an individual.
Yeah, because if I don't do it intentionally, I'm going to be racist. I'm going to be. It's what I was born into.
It's too easy.
It's too easy. Yeah, it's just every day, right?
Right.
But if, like I said, if I decide not to be, and it's my choice, then I become conscious.
Right. Yeah. The choosing. Well, I've thought about the, with my wife and our roles, I've realized we have, like, inevitably, no matter how we slice it, we're going to have different roles. We can't be doing exactly the same things. This doesn't make sense. If we're in a partnership, we're going to have our own roles, that I'm good at certain things, she's good at certain things. But as long as we value each other equally, that we respect each other and we respect the work each other does, then we're going to have a great partnership. It's going to be a great relationship. And it has been. It's good, but we've had to sit down and work a few things out. Like, hey, I guess I'm doing more of the cooking or whatever. And okay, I'll take that on. That's going to be my responsibility. I'll do that. But, and then it just goes back and forth, and if one person feels like, listen, I'm working full-time job, I'm taking care of the chickens, I'm cooking all the food, I'm doing all the dishes, I feed the dogs every day. Listen, we got to balance this out more, right? And you got to have that balance and everything. Can't be one person doing it all. It'd
be good if you could do it without the conversation.
Right. That's
flow
what they
call
into the
awareness.
The
Being conscious.
The dishes haven't been done in a month. Oh, I guess
Yeah.
one of us has.
Yeah. It's interesting when you say that. It makes me think about, does the spirit have a gender?
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, I've thought about that lots. that idea, especially nowadays, because this the transgender discussion is really in full force.
Yeah, or two-spirited people.
Yeah,
things
that's
like
right.
That, right?
It's
I mean, do they actually? Does spirit have a gender?
Yeah, I feel like probably not.
I'm thinking not.
Yeah, I mean, when I talked about this recently, that on some level I am not Carl, the man, the guy sitting here. I'm actually not that on some level, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right. And then so I can identify as not male or female. I understand that.
Androgynous.
Sure. And that maybe I was just born into this, but also this is who I am too.
Yeah.
You know, on some level.
That's your suit, man.
This is just my suit. Yeah, this is what I am.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny thought that some people are they're so strongly they just feel so much that their suit is not them, that they have to change their suit, that it's such a big part of their consciousness that they have to go, listen, I got to take hormones and change my suit, man. This isn't my suit. It's not me.
Yeah.
Like it's
needs some adjustments.
It's an interesting idea. It's something I'm not I don't fully understand. I don't.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. It's fascinating, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a fascinating discussion about those rights, and it's like, yeah, I guess people should be able to. Yeah, I mean, you can get a tattoo on your face if you want. You should be able to,
Yeah, you can be a race car driver.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, do something super dangerous if you want.
But I what I think about is that's kind of just other stuff, right? To me, it's not who you are, right?
Like
again, going back to spirit, right? Spirit is spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the other stuff is stuff.
Right?
We're not going to take stuff with us.
More layers on.
Yeah, we're not going to take stuff with us.
Right.
We're we're kind of like, it's like swimming through the quagmire right now, right? It's like what kind of things, like my beliefs, right? And things like, when I was a kid, they gave me to an institution. They gave me to an institution.
Yeah.
They didn't even know who they were. They just gave me to them, right? And said, here, have your way, right? And then I remember, being there, and this adult said to me, 1 and 1 is 2. I don't know, whatever, right? But they kept repeating it to me. 1 and 1 is 2. 1 and 1 is 2, right? So one day when I said 1 and 1 is 2, they were like, right on. Good for you, right? Yeah, you got it now. Oh. But now, as an adult, I'm having second thoughts, right? I'm thinking, okay, but 1 drop of water and 1 drop of water doesn't make 2 drops of water. So how absolute is that teaching?
That's
and
funny.
Then how many other teachings do I have inside me that isn't quite right?
Right.
And I'm moving through that now, right? I'm sorting it out. But the only way to sort it out is to not be judgmental about it, right? To remove the good and bad.
Yeah.
Because one thing we don't want to do is be wrong. We hate being wrong. you know what I mean? So right and wrong are total judgment stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
So just remove that.
So if we just had it as stuff, I'm going to deal with my stuff.
And that it's okay, no matter which way it is.
Because it's only stuff, right?
Yeah, it's just stuff. It's all right.
It's just stuff.
I like that.
And so that it doesn't take on this darker light. It's just stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff can be dealt with. Stuff can be addressed. It's just stuff.
I like that.
And so I think that's, I think that it isn't, what we're talking about is not a journey towards something. We are what we're looking for. We've always been, right? We've always been spirit. We've been programmed to think all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But boil it all down, like right down to the, render it down. We're spirit. We're spirit living in a body.
Born that way.
I have a body.
Gonna die that way.
Yeah. I'm a spirit. I have a body. Not I'm a body and I have a spirit.
Phil, right? I think that's a great place to end it.
Cool, man.
Thanks again for talking with me.
All right. Yeah.